Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Convos with Friends, and it's me, your host, Michael Shoboale. And this podcast is just where we, have conversations with friends and we talk real life scenarios that will help others to learn from these events. We talk career, finance, cryptocurrency, time management, and so on. So, with me today, I've got Victor Amupitan on the episode, and he's going to be talking to us about career. And let me just leave the floor open for him to introduce himself. So, Victor, you can go ahead.
All right, yeah, thanks, Michael. So, like Michael already said, my name is Victor Amupitan. I was born and raised in Jos, Nigeria. I currently work as a software engineer, where I work on operating systems and like Bluetooth technologies. And in general, I'm a tech enthusiast. It's just what I used to like to do, and now what I do as a career.
It's very what? Same?
No, I said it's what I used to like to do, for fun, but now I do it as a career.
Wow, that's very interesting. I mean, I doubt many people actually do what they like as career.
I mean, I agree. It's definitely different now that it's like, it's a job. Back when I was like in school, I used to work on side projects. I actually used to enjoy like, doing them, like, the feeling of completing one of those. But then now, it's like a job, there's a rhythm, you have to get this done by this time. And then it's like, it's how you survive, it's how you make your life, your life. So it's definitely different than when you're just doing it for fun.
Oh boy. I don't know, maybe I think this is the first episode I'm ever having a software engineer, come on. I'm also a software engineer, but maybe you can like introduce or maybe explain like what exactly is your career about. Can you go into details?
So my career, the career of software engineering, it's generally about like developing software. And this goes like from a wide range of like web apps, mobile apps, to like even the tiny things that people don't think about, like your electronics at home, and then especially like even like the smart devices these days. Like it's all like, I mean, it's not magic. It's all like some software somewhere, like cars, all those things, really.
Yeah.
So that's what the career is about. Specifically, I work on operating systems and like Bluetooth. So what I actually work on is like the OS itself, but like also like interacts with like everything that uses Bluetooth. Or depends, like give or take, all the way from like even like headphones to like hearing aids to like even cosplay, all of that.
Well, that sure sounds interesting. I've never actually looked at that part of software engineering as actually software engineering. But maybe have you ever been called a tech bro before?
Yeah, it's actually honestly it's something that I've witnessed more like within like the Nigerian community. Just be like, oh, you're a tech bro, and for some reason I don't know why I don't. I'm very quick to deny the tech bro thing because I'm like, I mean, part of it is like I don't want my life to be labeled like tech bro, like that's what. I mean, I do it if you think about it. Working 40 hours a week, it's a lot of time that's genuinely being devoted to like tech, and then also on my free time I still do some coding. So obviously, like I actually might be a tech bro, but I just it doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, like I think for me, when I hear that phrase tech bro, I'm like, okay, which kind of tech? Is it hardware, software? I can go down a plumb line about it. It doesn't define really anything that you do. It's just like they don't want to they want you to explain what you do. So they just say tech bro,
Yeah.
Because you could literally be a graphics designer and you still be called a tech bro.
Well, actually, that's true too.
But anyway, like moving on. I mean, can you just tell us like how long have you been like in your current career? How?
Well, I mean, in my current like job, I've been in it for 3 years, but then I had some like really tangible internships when I was in college. So in a way, in my like if I had to answer really, I'd say like more like 5 years because like honestly, those internships were like I would have done the same thing if I was like working there full time. So it's like it's just valuable. It's just as valuable as what I'm doing right now. So I'd say like 5 years.
Well, that's it. That's quite. I mean, a lot of experience, and I think in tech, like 6 months of experience is like is like 3 years of actual experience, because you get to learn so much and you get to grow so much in just like a short period of time.
I I agree. Like it's actually one of the things I actually like about tech is like whenever you start something new, it's always like you get this imposter syndrome of like, am I even supposed to be here? And then 1 year from now, if you look at look at how far you've come, it's actually insane how quickly you pick things up so slowly, but then they accumulate so quickly. And after a stretch of even like 6 months, you're just like, wow, I can't believe this is what I'm doing right now, because 6 months ago I wasn't even sure if I was supposed to be here.
Well, I want to ask you something about software engineering and what you're doing currently. It's like, what do you enjoy the most about it at this point?
What I enjoyed the most
Yeah.
about it? Well, I mean, it's like asking like, what's the best part of your job?
Yeah, what's the best part?
But ultimately, just if putting like the job side apart, like I guess personally, what I work on is like I like just the feeling, like the impact that is actually delivered. It's like there's so many people using Bluetooth. So it's crazy to think that like when I'm part of like these design conversations, or like even like the things I do, like the impact is going to end up having like in the world in general. Like let's assume I did something on like Bluetooth that affects headphones. It's like so many people using like headphones. Some people using like Windows OS. So it's like it's just like you're just amazed at the impact it has. So like sometimes that feeling of like the impact is, I would say, is why I enjoy it the most.
I think there's just this great feeling when you design software and then you actually see people like use it, and and you like see them use it, and you actually feel happy that people are actually using what you worked and what you designed.
Yeah, honestly, that's really what I'm talking about there. Just like that, it's just like, wow, like this is really, this really is happening because of you. Like you've shot made like an impact in the world.
Well, I think now we have discussed like what your career is about and what you enjoy, but I think what most people want to know is, how did you get into your career? Was there anything extra that you did that helped you get into your career?
The thing with this question is like, I feel like it definitely happens differently for different people, and they still end up in the same place. But like, I think a huge part of it, like I think a huge part of like most things in general, just like there's like that I believe like there's God involved, there's like luck, there's like opportunity, and then there's like the hard work itself. The only thing you really have control over there is like the hard work. I mean, to an extent, opportunity, exposing yourself to opportunities, but you're not the one creating them, so you don't have that much of control. But hard work, I'll definitely say, is there. How I got into the career, how I got in there was, I would say I put in like a good amount of effort, into like learning as much as I could and making myself like valuable to like to like tech in general. Especially like early on, like I was, just I wasn't like even really focused on like anything tech in particular. I was open to like so many things, and it was even to me it was like in a good way overwhelming. Like I was just like, oh, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. So I was just cybersecurity, mobile development, app development, even like low level stuff. I didn't like it as much, but I still definitely found it interesting to the point that I was like, if I had to do this, I could still see myself doing, just like dabbling into everything. Some things I'll go deeper than some others, but just that I definitely was the type of person to. I feel like I did probably even did more self learning, outside of school than I actually learned from school. School laid a good foundation, but I definitely did like more, like a lot of self learning just to like make myself have those valuable skills.
Do you think that self learning that you did has made you, be a bit ahead than others in your career as well?
I think it definitely helped a lot. I remember because I put my internship as part of my career. I remember my internship. it was just so I learned so much just like, that not from school. That was like like on side projects. Like I'd worked on projects like from ground up, sorry, and then I would at work like some of these concepts were new to me. Well, I could see like it was new to other people because like in school you just learn. I mean, there's some stuff on project management, but you're just learning. If anything, honestly, just the foundation of things. Coding in like a professional setting is very different from like academics. And honestly, it was actually even with all my self learning, that was still very. It was a shocker to me. I was amazed and scared at the same time. I was just like, how big their code bases were, and like just I was just like, wow, this is actually. I can't believe people actually work on this. Like people actually know what's going on. Honestly,
So I mean, just to add, like, are you trying to say that school wasn't so important in you getting into your career, or can you just explain how important like school was for you?
so personally, I feel like school like had a huge impact. Like, because I feel like it definitely like created the foundation. I feel like if anything, my self learning was to fill lapses, just like because school it was honestly it was like a lot of theory, which even like the projects we work on were very like small scope. I understand it's school, if you go too deep, you only have what a few like only like 2 semesters usually to pick some things up. So I understand I couldn't go that deep, but my self learning was more to just more to fill up like lapses that like school couldn't cover. But I feel like school was important. That being said, though, I know a lot of people in this like the software engineering like career that like didn't have like this type of formal university education. Like when went through boot camps and like they're doing like very well. So I would say school is necessary, but like for me, it had like it definitely had impact because even through school was like how I learned about some opportunities. I think like if you don't go through school, there'll be more self learning you'd have to do that you might not even be aware of. Like school created that like structure that school let me know that I didn't know this, and then on my own I was able to go learn that. But I feel like if you don't know that you don't know this, then it's like you have to find out you don't know somehow.
And like there's, I don't know if you have seen like software engineers who have been school taught and those who are self taught. I don't know if you've ever seen how they work or how code is being written. I feel like there's a difference in the way it's being managed. I don't know if you experienced that before.
I I I can't really say that I've experienced like a lot of that, but I remember that definitely something I can say I've noticed is after a few years into the like profession, if you're writing code and doing design, I feel like school starts to count a lot less, and then your experience will count more. I feel like if you saw engineers, this is just my assumption though. Well, just say 6 years into the job, you wouldn't be able to tell who um, went to school and who did boot camp. They've both been working on the same project. But if like it's a year, 2 years in, I think you can definitely see you might be able to tell the difference because like there's software engineering is really wide. And school lets you touch on every tiny aspect. You don't go too deep every tiny aspect. But usually like you go to school, like usually you have like this one focus. Maybe you started through web development. So you might not even be aware of like certain like practices that maybe you'd have learned from operating systems class, so like certain concepts. So like when you're like working, let's say you have to work on something that's a little bit different from like your bootcamp or your self learning path, then like something's just extremely new to you as opposed to someone who went to school like, oh, I kind of remember this, and I just have to look this and this up and I should be familiar. But for you to be like, oh, this is even like this is something I've never heard of before. But like I said, like a few years down the line, it's like it's more so your experience on that project that is now more pronounced.
Yeah, and I think I love one thing again with software engineering that is that there's lots of I think knowledge sharing that goes on. I don't know if has happened to you. You having to learn from those who are already ahead of you.
Yeah, that it's also I agree. Because once you're into the career and it's not about school learn anymore. I feel like where you start to learn from now is, I mean, there's still self learning that continues, throughout the time, but you start to learn from other people, and that's really, you start to learn how other people solve problems, how other people, deal with situations. This even goes like beyond coding, just more like to design, like how other people even interact with people to get things done, and that's something. I mean, maybe you can learn it somewhere, but it's definitely still things you really learn like from peer to peer, and because then you start to like form mentors and like role models, and like you're impressed by what this person did, or how this person like does something, and then you start to learn from that.
And there's someone that said he said that when he first started his career as a software engineer, he was wondering why people were helping him. He sort of he felt it was supposed to be like a competition. Like in other disciplines where you have to put out the most work. Have to.
Something. I actually agree. I remember my internship, my very first internship. After I was so like, because I did well in the interview, and I think my manager at the time was like, "Oh, you did really well in the interview." I was like, that's good. I mean, I got the job, so that's good. But then I remember when like my first 2 days, and like someone like they had like this other intern show me like was like a more experienced intern show me like how there's the code base, this is for this, and I'm overwhelmed. I thought, oh, I think I'm oversold myself. This is not really what I'm built for. And and I was so ashamed to ask for help, but like because I was just thinking if I ask for help now, they're going to find out that I'm not what I was. But then I definitely had but then people would like offer to help, and I tried to like act like I knew something too, so it wouldn't be like I'm just completely lost. But then like with time, like I learned like it's so much more collaborative than like competitive. I mean, in the tech world we live in today, it's definitely, I'm not going to say it's not competitive, definitely it's very competitive. But when like really when you're working like for the success of a project, like it's definitely just collaborative.
And I think that's one thing that software engineering like teaches you. You have to know how to ask for help. Even matter when even even if you think you know it, sometimes you just ask for help. But that brings us to something like, is there something that you actually really hate about software engineering? Because you have said it's what you love doing it and all that, but is there something that it's a side effect or something that you actually hate about it?
Man, what do I hate? I don't want to say the way it takes my time, because I'm the one who chooses how to use my time. But there's definitely this thing with like software engineering, maybe just as a young software engineer, but whenever like you face a problem, like you really want to solve it, like, and sometimes sometimes you even like, I just said it's collaborative, but sometimes like there's certain things you want to solve by yourself just to prove to yourself that like this is who I am, this is what I can do, and then you go like sometimes on this path where like you're just burning time, time that could be used honestly even to better things like your career, time that could be used like in your personal life, but just burning time. And then also, later find out you didn't have to waste all that time. You really could have like done something else that would help. Or or you're even using time wrongly, like trying to work late nights when your brain is even as productive. So you're just really, in this cycle of you wake up in the morning, now you're tired, so you try to focus on the same problem, but you're tired, so you can't really solve it. But then because you can't solve it, you work on the problem till it's like late in the night again, and then your brain isn't still productive, so you end up going to bed late, and you're in this cycle of. Sometimes I feel like coding just puts you in this cycle of like trying to solve a problem that you have to break out of and come back to.
And I think there's this like, even when you're trying to sleep,
I agree. It's definitely like, I honestly, there's genuinely, I'm not even joking right now. There's a few problems I have actually dreamt of solutions for.
Yeah.
There was one time there was this thing I was thinking of, like how to solve this problem. And like I slept, and one time I was just on my bed. I hadn't like slept deeply yet, and I think I woke up and I was like, "Nah, this idea is good." I actually wrote it down. So I kid you not. At first, I wanted to like open my computer and like type it down, but I just like wrote it down. I think there was another time I just like recorded on my phone, just recorded what I was thinking at the moment, and like I actually did play it back at some point, and that was eventually what led me to my solution. It's like there's sometimes like it just doesn't leave your brain even at sleep.
I'm still trying to see if some studies will be done on the effect of solving problems all day, as a software engineer.
Yeah, honestly.
But okay, I mean, just before you go, like, would you have any advice that you would give to somebody who wants to get into, software engineering, or even your section of software engineering? You mentioned that you were, just learning everything and anything. But if you could go back and, try to focus your study, your knowledge, like, how would you advise yourself to do it? Let me put it that way.
Okay. Well, there's two parts to the question. Maybe I'll answer that if I could go back one first. If I could go back, I would. One thing I'm glad I did was to do the branching out, because it definitely like gives you like just more. Even though it's not knowledge that would be directly applied, you just learn some more concepts that would overall help you as a software engineer. Um, I focused on. I did a lot of like mobile development at some point, and that's actually when I learned a lot about optimization for like for the app has to optimize just optimization in general to make the app mobile apps more efficient, because you want mobile app to lag, it's or just anything, no one wants anything to lag. So and that's something that obviously hasn't still carried on to like my work, even though I don't work on mobile development anymore. But like even with things I develop today, like it's like it's something you always keep in mind. Like, is this something, the user experience that you don't want this to lag. So I think I wouldn't say I wish I dove deeper into anything. If anything, I actually wish I covered some more bases that I didn't. Like, I remember towards the end of college, I was trying to trying to go into machine learning, but it was also at the same time I was trying to find a job, because that was when I couldn't really do as much there. But if I could go back, I would actually like do some more focus there, do some more go some more into image processing, compression, just several like topics here and there that I just never touched. That like were always I thought about it, but just at the time I thought about it, it was also the time I guess I just didn't have as much time. So my advice would actually be to test the waters as opposed to like diving deep into a particular spot in the water. And then also for the other question, like any like advice like get into the career, I would say like I mentioned earlier, it's like the part you can really change is how much work you put in and like how much opportunity you're exposed to. Obviously, you can't create your own opportunities. That would be nice, but I would say like something I always did in school, going to hackathons, even somewhere just like some online free hackathons, career fairs, all the cybersecurity conferences, like where you like either play like attack, defense, or just that type of stuff. Like just always exposing myself to like new opportunities or just new like aspects of learning. But then also just doing that work of like I have to learn this stuff. I have to make myself more valuable to like whoever's going to want to hire me, or to whatever impact I'm going to want to make. You have to be able to create that like solution to a problem. Like just making sure I was actually capable of doing that. Which honestly, like at the end of the day, you're only just doing your best when you actually start doing what you're doing. That's when you will learn like the real thing. Like, that's where most of the learning actually comes from. But definitely, even just cultivating that habit of being able to learn and like tackle problems, I would say is huge. Like, don't like just let time wallow away. Every like opportunity like you can get, take it. And the more learning you do, honestly, the better, because you're just making yourself more, more useful.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, the software engineering field is a continuous learning.
I agree. I agree. Even yeah, I even up on like even till now, I still try to like learn some new languages. It's because I feel like I don't want. I something I also don't want to do is like get super stuck on what I'm doing, because like things grow so quickly and change so quickly. I remember like this term like we use in software engineering, like deprecated. I remember I read something, maybe it was on Twitter, and someone said the very code you're writing today is deprecated, because really it's just it's what someone else is going to call old code. Like maybe in 2 weeks, So it's actually amazing how like quickly code fit. It's like, what's the point if someone's going to change this like in the next 2 years? But it's just like there's so much that's going on. That's why like even when you're in, it's not really a reason to like tie yourself down. Like you should still like try to learn and like try to branch out wider to like as much as you can. And I guess something to mention is just like getting to the career itself. Honestly, can be overwhelming because as much as like there's so much opportunities, there's also like a lot of like competition as well. And like it's to an extent like you put in the work, but there's still like the aspect of luck. Don't be discouraged by like maybe lack of progress or like rejections because it's honestly just part of it, and like it's just something to learn from and just keep like trying more.
Yeah, I mean, I hope anybody is listening is going to put that advice. I mean, not that we're saying you should go get in software engineering, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely applicable to most other career,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, this has been a lovely conversation. And before you go, you can just give your contact, where people can reach you if you're.
Well, my LinkedIn is Victor Amupitan. That'll be the most professional way to reach me.
All right. I guess we'll just go with LinkedIn then. All right. I mean, this is Victor Amupitan, guys. I mean, he has told you what he could about his career, and he just hopes that it helps, you and everybody else. So, and thanks a lot, Victor, for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael, for the opportunity.
Yeah, man. I'll see you later.
All right. Have a great day.